In the heat of anger, what was the worst decision you've made? What were the consequences? I had gotten into a fist fight with my stepdad when I was 14 and got kicked out of the house. My dad picked me up and was lecturing me about making good decisions and asked me, "Do you want to grow up to be a criminal loser?" I told him, "At least I won't work a dead-end shit job and grow up to be like you." The instant it left my mouth I regretted it. He even shot back with, "Exactly, I want you to be better than me," and I could tell it hurt him. The shitty part is, he did everything for me and still does. That conversation pops into my head from time to time and I still feel horrible about it. Dude, tell him while you still can. I did apologize to him later that same day. What I said came from a shitty place and he knew that. Regardless, I still think about it and it bothers the hell out of me that I could say something like that to someone who did nothing but try and make my life infinitely better than his was growing up. Made a new account just to post. I was using bath salts heavily for about the span of a month. I was an IV drug user, very angry at the world and life at the time, going from one abusive relationship to the other. I have always been the type not to hit a significant other. I let plenty of boys beat the shit out of me, all the lovely ingredients to a person snapping. I had gone for a ride with a friend and was dropped off, in my eyes, ditched, at a stranger's house full of people who were not all that kind to me, not all that friendly to begin with, and all whacked out of their heads. The details are blurry as I was also experiencing high fevers at the time, due to endocarditis I later discovered, but I was treated rather poorly for the whole day. A guy who was, for lack of better terms, shot the fucking fuck out and needed a bottle of Valium, decided to come harass me in the room I had locked myself away in. Everyone outside, me alone inside, he decided he was going to have some fun with me. I was only skin and bones, so fighting back seemed almost impossible, but I was so furious in this moment. I was homeless, broken, the world treated me like shit, and now he thought he was going to do this? So I grabbed a glass pipe, crushed it in my weak little hands and stabbed him in the neck. Somehow, that worked enough to stun him and cut him pretty good. I raged all out and next thing I know I'm on top of him stabbing him with pieces of glass. At this point I've broken all of it and I'm essentially just punching him. Nothing was deep enough to kill him. He may have a few scars, but he never messed with me again. Those were literally my consequences. Nothing. But they were terrible. Seeing a grown-ass man have fear in his eyes over a little girl like me, who only ever has wanted to help anyone, take care of others. I wanted to be a nurse and was planning to attend nursing school that following month. I have nightmares about the moment I came to reality and see this bleeding man, or nightmares that I really have multiple personalities and one hurts others. No, it was probably just a drug-fueled blackout, but I can only imagine what I would have done with a real weapon. Wow. Are you in better health now? Better situation? I'm actually in the hospital still recovering from the endocarditis, but in a much better situation. Much better state of mind and headed on a much better path. A couple of years ago I was in a very bad mood and my daughter, who was 2.5 at the time, did something that made me snap, so I took the drawing she was waving at me, screwed it up in a ball, and threw it across the room. I know that doesn't sound like much, but goddamn it broke her little heart. And by something, I mean I don't actually know what she did. I couldn't even remember in the moments after the incident. It was like I blacked out in rage. I did seek help after this, by the way, and it turned out I had severe postpartum depression, had a newborn at the time too, and I was given meds and worked through it. And yes, I did comfort and apologize to her after. We sat on the floor and cried together and I promised her that it would never happen again and that I would get help. Told my father he deserved to die as painfully as his mother did. This was during a massive physical fight where he had the losing hand. Our relationship was never that good, but that sealed its fate nicely. I had enough of his bullshit. I don't regret it, but it's equally one of the worst decisions I've ever made. Was there a specific reason for saying that? She died a year or so before and he turned into a bitter, hateful man since that point onwards. Refused to get help and lashed out at anyone who showed him the care and affection a father usually gets. I came out of the armed forces with a very damaged ankle, medically discharged, and he decided it was the best time to take a pop at me, no idea why. The entire situation just sent me beyond a need for violence and I just wanted him gone forever. I've seen him twice in 7 years now and he pretends nothing has ever happened. I just don't care about him anymore. It's a longer story to be fair, but one I can look back on now and actually agree with my decisions. Even if they were a bit brash. When I was in 10th grade, a classmate of mine pissed on my shoes. I did not snap right then and there, but he made fun of my looks a couple minutes later. I completely lost my shit, grabbed him by the neck and slammed his head into a steel beam. In hindsight, I realized that I could have killed him or disabled him for life, but luckily he got away with a bad concussion. Did he fuck with you again after that? No, he never fucked with me again, but he got kicked out of school a year later. Had a similar incident. 10th grade as well. Older kid used to break my balls purely because I was friends with his friend, my neighbor. They were jocks, I was not. His favorite was to rip my backpack off my back. One day, I was in a super pissed mood because of something teenage angst? Don't remember what, but he came down the hall, calling me names. Told him to fuck off. He laughed and went to grab at my bag. Swung the bag at him, hitting him in the side of the head, and sending him into the lockers with the other side of his head. Out cold on the floor. Nobody ever snitched on me, and I never had an issue with him again. He was still a prick to everybody else possible but not me. Calling the woman I love the most obnoxious person I've ever met. Consequences? She slept with my housemate. In the bathroom. Right afterwards. Please, tell me you aren't dating her anymore. No. Last I'd heard she's just got married, for the second time. Wouldn't surprise me if her first husband thinks she's still with him. You might ask why I regret doing what I did, telling what I saw as the truth in a brutally frank, and drunk, way? Well, at the same time, she was beautiful, unconventionally so, in lots of ways I hoped, probably naively, only I could see. To me, that's the meaning of intimacy. She slipped through my fingers and, to this day, I torture myself with questions about what I did and didn't do. Car broke down for the 20th time. Barely made it back into the driveway, no money for repairs. Angrily kicked the rear of the car, smashing the tail light. Yell at my own stupidity and throw the keys far into the tree line. Immediately have to go find them because my house keys were also on there. What was the original charge? Was the ruling bullshit at least? It was a bond hearing for a possession charge. A bond hearing that gave me a $10,000 bond and a $1,000 bond to the guy who went before me who was trying to break in his ex's house for the second time. I once got very angry at my older sister. I sneaked up on her while she was using the computer. I started rubbing a block of cheddar cheese into the top of her scalp, twisting and shoving the cheese block into her dumb head. By the time she reacted, I was already running up 2 flights of stairs to lock myself in my room as I was sure she would kill me. She was seconds behind me but I managed to lock myself in my room. She banged on the door for a while and then things went silent. That's when I knew it was bad. She came back a couple minutes later with an electric drill and started dismantling the door lock. I shoved my armoire in front of the door. She eventually busted through as I frantically kept wedging furniture in a manner not unlike the students in Les Miserables. She finally got through the door and came climbing over the furniture barricade with a goddamn knife in her hand. The details of what happened next are blurry, but we're somehow both still alive, and friends, today. Picked a fight with a SWAT team. In my defense, the only reason I was so pissed off was because of the Adderall I was prescribed. I was shot in the left testicle with a beanbag round and was carted off to a funny farm for half a year. That's not how the internet works. You can't just post, I got in a fight with a SWAT team, got shot in the balls, and locked up in a psych ward, and walk away. You have to tell the story. That's like saying, I went to dinner with Nick Cage and ended up banging Jennifer Lawrence. You want more details? Fuck you. I have depression, and I am an Aspie. My then psychiatrist prescribed me Adderall. I was on it for about a week when I had a psychotic breakdown. I kicked my parents out the house, and proceeded to tear up everything. I even knocked over the fish tank. The cops showed up, demanded I leave the house. I came out, waved a pair of knives at them and told them that I would fucking kill them all. Came back in and locked the door. They radioed for backup. My biggest mistake was the same one John McClane made, I forgot my damn shoes. There was glass everywhere, so I couldn't really navigate through the house. My only option was my sandals out front. I opened the door, and tried to grab them, but I was shot. I didn't know what the hell happened to me for around 5 minutes, then the pain set in. It hurt bad. So bad it snapped me out of my psychotic rage and turned me into a whimpering little bitch. I came out with my hands up, the cops proceeded to smash my face into the concrete repeatedly until the medic showed up. I told him that I thought my balls were bleeding. He confirmed it, and told the very angry cops that I was to be sent to the hospital for an ultrasound. It took 12 hours to get me checked out, so the cops had to either press charges or let me go. They agreed to let me go if my parents checked me into the psych ward. After 3 weeks in the psych ward, I went to a funny farm for a half year. That is an entirely different story, with a very depressing ending. Spoiler, my only friend there was beaten and drugged to the point that he had permanent brain damage. I need context. How did a SWAT team get involved? Considering I locked myself in my home and the cops wanted me out, the SWAT team was probably called because regular cops aren't equipped to breach a house with a potential hostile inside. A buddy of mine a few weeks ago, super nice guy, never been in trouble. He has been with the same girl for around 5 years. He has a rough day at work. Heads home and finds his girl with another guy. Both his 3 kids and the other guy's 3 kids are in the house. Screaming commences. He tries to elbow the other guy in the face and his girl gets in the way and gets hit. As he is turning around to apologize, this other guy's kid comes running up to stop the fight and gets knocked over by my buddy. He then loses his balance and steps on the kid's leg. My buddy runs out the door because he wants to end his awkward dance around the house and is pissed that he just caught his girl cheating. Heads over to his mom's and is taken to jail. Charged with 2 counts of domestic violence, 1 against a child, fleeing the scene and obstruction of justice. I met him as a connection for buying steroids. So from jail, he calls his mom and asks her to go to this storage unit full of steroids and dump it all before his girl can snitch on him. Only problem is that the calls are monitored. Next day he is served with a warrant for 32 felonies. Damn, what happened to him? Is he serving a sentence? Just happened a few weeks ago. He is out on bail now, but has not been sentenced. I learned at a young age that if you destroy things that are replaceable out of anger, then you are required to either pay for them or replace/rebuild them. So to try and gain power, I started to attack things that would really make my parents suffer. Don't ask me why I was so angry, it was many years ago. One night I was especially infuriated with my mother, so I tore up my mother's high school graduation photos and set them on fire. Later that night when she was flipping out, I determined that I hadn't caused her to feel just as enraged as I was. While she was screaming at me, I realized that I fulfilled both of my requirements, as far as something to destroy. I was both irreplaceable and at least somewhat valuable. While I had her full attention, I began an attempt to stab myself to death. It didn't work cause the knife wasn't nearly sharp enough, but I drew plenty of blood. I knew it wasn't nearly enough to die, so instead I drew pentagrams on the walls with my blood. They were very religious, so it scared the shit out of them. Crazy as fuck night. I ended up in an insane asylum for a week. Edit, it's kind of shitty that my top comment ever on this account is about the worst thing I've ever done, ever. Yes, I'm an asshole, idiot, whatever. No, I'm not ungrateful to her, I love her. She has put up with my bullshit for a long time, especially when many people couldn't. She's a little overprotective, but there have been many times where her defense of me has saved my ass. There's much more to the story that I didn't mention just for the sake of respect for my family. That said, I think I'm pretty done with this post. It was supposed to be a response to this question and that's it. See you guys everywhere but here. You okay, man? Yup. Funny part is I ended up a pacifist hippie. Insane asylums are fucked up places, and I'm never fucking going back. This isn't extreme like many of yours, but I am still so ashamed of it to this day. My sister is a quadriplegic and relies on my parents and siblings for almost any day-to-day task. When she was younger, she's extremely independent now. One day we had snow day from school and we were all really excited because both parents had to work and we'd have the house to ourselves with my sister as the babysitter. She is the oldest. She asked us to feed her some lunch. She hadn't really had breakfast because my mom was in a rush out the door, and we decided, shitholes that we were, that we would rather play outside in the snow and mocked her that she couldn't come outside with us. I don't know why this particular day brought out the worst in us because we were usually so nice to her and only did activities she could be a part of. So we played out in the snow for hours and hours until the sun went down and Dad came home. At this point my sister hasn't eaten in 12 hours, which is very dangerous for her because of all the medication she takes. Well, we got chewed out worse than I ever had or probably ever will. He went into gory detail what the day she became paralyzed was like for him and how it still haunts him and how he couldn't believe that he had produced 3 other children that could be so cruel. It is one of 2 times I've actually seen my dad cry and it will affect me forever. I really hope you guys have made it up to her. Poor girl. We have for sure. That was probably 12 or 13 years ago. She gets that we were just being stupid kids. Having little to no use of her arms and legs has allowed her to become pretty crafty mentally and she is extremely tough. She is a huge inspiration to me and I make sure she knows it. Just separated from the military and we were moving literally across the country for my new job. We stopped in my home state for my brother's wedding and to pick him and my parents' stuff up to move with us as well. They were going to be moving in 6 months a state away from where my final destination. There was already an uber amount of stress between my wife and I. I was recovering from an injury that I had incurred on duty that ended my military career. Add on top of that a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old. Some stuff between my wife and my family was said and she decided to go cool her jets at a friend's house. I took it the wrong way and punched the back window out of our SUV. Not just out, I punched a hole clean through it. Glass sprayed all over my daughter and I ripped my arm out and was going to punch the driver's window when I saw my face. Nasty, rage-filled monster. The thing I never wanted to become. I had prided myself up to that point on being a man of honor, someone who would never raise a hand to my wife in anger. I had just done that. Then I looked down, my arm looked like hamburger. Nothing broken, just cut up and bleeding profusely. It took us nearly a year to get back to some normalcy, away from my folks, but that being a different matter altogether. Turns out, I have PTSD coupled with the stress of moving and outside influences helped cause my break. I got help, got medication, I'm extremely subdued. Now all it takes is for me to look at my arm, it brings me to tears. To this day, I still have glass chunks in my forearm and every once in a while a piece will work its way out. Damn, is all I gotta say. Kudos for getting help and your wife sticking through it with you. Thanks, that was 12 years ago. We've been married for 16. The last time my mother called me, I didn't answer the phone. She died the following weekend. I missed my mother's last phone call. Also, my parents told me all my life they had been saving for my college education. I believed them and didn't save the money I made in my part-time job in high school. I was accepted to my dream college. When I told my mother, she said they didn't have the money to send me. I married the next guy who asked me, because I was angry that they had lied to me and I could have done it on my own if I had known the truth. Turns out I married an abusive drug addict. I still have the scars on my back. Are you still with him? In a word, no. I was married to him for 2 years, but I knew the second I walked out of the JP's office I had made the mistake of a lifetime. I just felt it in my core. I took the beatings for 2 years because I felt like I had given my parents the finger by marrying him in the first place. I didn't leave until I had a child. One day after the baby was born, he wailed on me for a while and threw me down next to the baby's car seat, where the baby was asleep. I opened my eyes and saw the little guy asleep there, and thought that it was time to swallow my pride because I didn't want my little one to grow up in a situation like that. I started smuggling my stuff out and stashing it in a locker at a gym for a week or so. Then one day when I was supposed to be grocery shopping, I took the baby with me and ran to my parents' house. They took me to their lake house in another state until my ex quit ranting and chasing me. I think I slept for a week straight when I first left. I had been sleeping with one eye open for 2 years. The only thing I missed about that situation was the cat he owned. I still hope she had a good life and wonder if she was happy. Back when I was 18, I was single-handedly keeping the household afloat. I was working 2 jobs and taking 22 credits at school. I was taking care of my younger sisters pretty much completely. Taking them to the doctor, dentist, orthodontist, therapist, school back and forth, helping with homework, going to parent-teacher conferences, going to volunteering obligations, making all of their meals, cleaning the house, grocery shopping, taking care of the pets, all of the laundry, everything. Then on top of that I was also taking care of our mother. Taking her to and from doctors, bringing her her meds and meals, begging her to get out of bed and go on a walk or at least sit on the deck for a little sun. I was getting about 2 to 5 hours of sleep at night. I was burning out fast. My little sister, 13 at the time, wasn't helping with anything. I could see she was going down a dark path. Drugs, alcohol, sneaking out, etc. She was making things more difficult. I felt so helpless because I could keep the household running but I couldn't help her. One day I was begging her to just take the trash out of her room. Not even clean the room, just take the trash out. There was food in there that was rotting and making it smell. I just couldn't find the time to do it for her. It ended up turning into a massive blowout fight. At the end she said, "Well, maybe I should just kill myself," and before I had even fully processed what she said I replied, "Well, it would certainly make things easier for me." I didn't sleep more than 45 minutes at a time for almost a month after that. I just kept going into her room to check on her and make sure she was still alive and hadn't done anything. My sister is doing better now, but I can never forget what I said and I will never be able to forgive myself for it. Hey, you sound like an amazing sibling. Hope y'all are doing good in life. All three of us are doing better. My youngest sister is still in contact with our mother because she has to be since she's under 18 and is the only one of us that talks to her on a regular basis. My younger sister, the one I said the awful thing to, is doing a lot better. She got the help she needed early on. There were some undiagnosed mental health issues that she was struggling with that have since been addressed, which helps. I'm doing better than I was and learned a lot from the experience.